Hi there, this is Bev. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to make some soap from ingredients that you can get pretty easily from the supermarket or the hardware store. Um, there are different ways of making soap. This is a cold pressed method, so you don't have to heat up all the ingredients in order to create the soap. The caustic soda, which you make into a lye solution, heats up itself. The only thing that you're going to need to heat up making this soap is the coconut oil, because it comes solid at room temperature. So I've pre-weighed most of my ingredients here, just so I can be quick off the mark to show you what's going on. The first thing that we're going to do is make the lye solution. Now, the lye solution is made with caustic soda. If it gets on your skin, it will hurt and it will burn you. So you have to be really careful with it. We're going to put some rubber gloves on whilst we're mixing the lye solution. And the lye solution, once it's mixed, needs to sit for about half an hour. This is so that it can get up to the temperature it needs to, and then so it can drop down to the temperature that we need it to be for when we're mixing it in with the oils. If it's at the right temperature, then when you mix it in with the oils, we get a mixture of glycerin then. As the lye hits the oil, it changes its chemical compound. And it's the glycerin then that solidifies and how you get your soap, essentially. So the first thing I'm going to do is weigh out my water. I'll just be using tap water today, but you can use spring water or rainwater, whatever picks your fancy. And so I've got a specific jug here that I'm going to use to make the lye solution. And I have another jug that I will use to pour the water in with. So we're going to weigh out 250 grams of water into the jug. I'm going to put my gloves on. Pour my jug into the sink. And I'm going to weigh out 125 grams of the caustic soda. So this caustic soda, make sure you don't get it near the kids or the animals in your houses. Like I say, it's not very nice if it gets onto your skin. So I'm going to pour the caustic soda into the water. The water should never be poured onto the caustic soda. Just pour that in slowly. And then give it a mix with your wooden spoon. Just mix it gently. You don't want this splashing on your skin. Like I say, it hurts if you splash it on your skin. And you'll feel the heat coming off of this mixture. Like I say, when the caustic soda hits the water, it starts to produce heat then as it becomes a lye solution. So make sure you've got that mixed up nice and evenly. It is sort of a milky colour, but you just want to make sure that you can't see any crystals floating around in that jug. So that's that. So just leave the jug then, and it'll work its magic. And what you need to do next is get your oils ready. So today we're using 350 grams of olive oil, 250 grams of sunflower oil, and 400 grams of coconut oil. Now the coconut, in order to be able to mix it in with the other oils, you're going to have to melt this down a little bit. I've got a microwave here, so I just usually bob it in the microwave for a little bit. Obviously, if you don't have a microwave, you can melt it down in a pan. Just keep your eye on it and keep it on a really low heat. So I'm just going to warm that up now. Whilst that's warming up, I'll just show you a few bits and bobs that you could add to your soap mixture. So I usually put essential oils in my soaps purely because I like the smell. You can use fragrance oils as well. And depending on which oil I've used, sometimes I'll use the petals or flowers according to which oils I've used. So there's some rose petals here. Sometimes I use rose essential oil. We've got some lavender buds there, and then some chamomile flowers. Now all of these will add a bit of texture to your soap. Sometimes I just sprinkle them on the top of the soap once I've poured it into my tub or whatever it is that you're going to use to set your soap in. There's other things that you can put in there as well. Here I've got some ground down rice. Now you can buy this ground down in the packet. That's nice if you want to make an exfoliating soap. Sometimes I make soap for feet with this, and I'll use essential oils perhaps that are deodorising, so like lemongrass, for instance. It is a little bit coarse, so I probably wouldn't use it on your face, but it is really nice to sort of give your feet a good scrub. And there's loads of different options as well. You can use your tea bags, so these would fragrance, things like chamomile, lemon and ginger, or berry. You wouldn't necessarily then have to use essential oils alongside those things if it's not something that you have at home. Okay, so about half an hour's passed. I have melted down my coconut oil. It's now all a liquid. I'm going to pour my other oils in with the coconut oil. So that's the olive oil that's gone in there. And now the sunflower oil. So I'm just going to give that a little mix. Make sure they're all combined. So that's all mixed together now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the lye solution to the oil mix. So I'm just going to gently pour this in and gently mix at the same time. Once you've got all the lye solution in there, and it's all mixed in quite nicely, you'll start to see it's gone a bit creamy. I'm just going to slowly start to blend it then. So the idea is that you blend it until you can start to see traces, lines forming where you've had your blender. Okay, so I've mixed this pretty thoroughly now. At first you will start to see lines where the lye mixes in with the oil. These are not the trace lines. The trace lines happen once the mixture thickens up, and you can move your blender through and you will see there is a dent where the blender's been in the mixture. I don't know if you can just see that there. It's sort of thickened up. You can see where it's moving around there. That is the point that the mixture is ready then for you to add any additions that you want. You don't have to add anything. In fact, particularly for children with sensitive skin, it's good to leave the soap where it is now. You don't need to add any colours or fragrances or anything like that. But like I say, today I'm going to make a honey and oatmeal soap, just because my skin's a bit dry at the moment, and I'm hoping that this might bring back a little bit of moisture and help with the itching. Oats are really good for that. So I've mixed together my oats here. I did have a little bit of a crush with the oats, just so that they'd spread further. And the honey that I used is just the regular runny honey that you can get in the supermarket. So I'm just going to bob all of that into my mixture. So if you're using food colouring, you need to bob that in now. If you are using food colouring, I would suggest that you get the powdered ones. They are just a bit stronger. You don't need to use as much with them. Essential oils would need to go in now, or your tea bags if you're using the insides of tea bags. Any grains or bits of rice, they all go in right now. So once you've bobbed everything in that you want to be in your mixture, you need to give it another mix. Okay, so that's enough mixing. You can particularly see the trace lines now. It's definitely started to thicken up as the soap batter. So I'm just going to knock off all of this mixture. And then plastic tubs are great to use, but sometimes I find that once the soap's hardened up, I can't get it out of the tub. So I've just popped a little bit of cling film into the tub here. If you don't want to use cling film, that's fine. You can put the tub in the freezer once you want to get the soap out, and it generally sort of helps it to shrink a little bit, and then you can get it out. So I'm just going to pop my soap batter into my tub now. Just trying to make sure my cling film doesn't disappear totally. It is good if you've got a lid for your tub, but if you don't worry. I'm just going to cover mine up with the rest of this cling film here, and then I'm going to wrap it up in a towel. What that does then is ensures that the activation still happens, and your soap gets nice and solid then. So I'm just going to carefully place this over the top here, and bob a little bit more on there. Like I say, you need to wrap it up in a towel, and then I usually hide this in a cupboard somewhere. I'll probably check on it later tonight just to make sure that it is solidifying. And then tomorrow, after about 24 hours, I'll tip the soap out of the tub and I'll cut it into the size pieces that I want. And then I'll put it, I usually just put them back into a box, a shoe box or something like that, and then I'll leave it for a further few weeks, depending on whether I've run out of soap yet. And little bits of water will evaporate from the soap after a few weeks, and the soap will be even more solid then. But you can use it sort of as from a week ahead now. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this session. I did type out all the ingredients and whatnot, so you can take the recipe away with you and have fun. Okay, bye.